That day, I was 12. The day my uncle sold me like livestock for 30 pieces of silver. I remember the sound of metal clinking, the crisp jingle as the pouch changed hands. In that moment, I thought with a strange clarity, this is the sound of my world crumbling. My name is Ella, and this is my story. From unwanted girl to the queen they never saw coming. But let me take you back to the beginning, to the moment when it all ended. Back to my 12th birthday.
Welcome to Luna's Romance Stories. Read the entire novel in one go. Message or comment to tell me what kind of story you'd like to read. Subscribe to the channel for daily updates. Luna reminds you, the story begins now.
My world ended on a Tuesday. It is odd that I remember the day of the week. But when you are only 12 and your entire existence is being ripped apart, your mind clings to the smallest, most insignificant details. Tuesday. It was raining, the kind of cold, relentless rain that turns dirt into mud and makes everything smell of rust and decay. There was no cake that morning, no songs, no acknowledgement that 12 years ago, I had come into this world loved and wanted. My mother had died giving birth to me. Apparently, that made my birthday some kind of disgrace, a reminder of loss rather than a celebration of life. I'd stopped expecting anything years ago. After Mom died and Uncle Thomas took me in, birthdays became just another day of chores and silence. But somehow, some childish part of me still hoped. Maybe this year would be different. I was in the corner of our ramshackle hut, mending one of Uncle's torn shirts, my fingers bleeding from needle pricks. I was never careful enough, never fast enough. But as I sat there in the dim light, something strange happened. The pain began to fade. Not completely, but enough that I could move my hands without wincing. I stared at my fingers, puzzled. The small cuts were still there, but they looked older, like they'd been healing for days instead of minutes. I shook my head. Probably just my imagination. Probably just. Uncle Thomas's head snapped up from his ledger, his eyes small and pale, always reminding me of a rat flickered with something I didn't recognize, something that made my stomach twist. "Stay right there," he said to me, pointing with a gnarled finger. "Don't move, don't speak." I nodded, drawing my knees to my chest, making myself small. I was good at that. Disappearing, being quiet, being still until people forgot I existed. The man who entered our home was unlike anyone I'd ever seen. He was an alpha. I could tell by the way he moved, his presence filling the cramped space of our hut until the walls felt like they were closing in. His clothes were fine, deep burgundy wool with silver fastenings that gleamed in our feeble firelight. His boots were polished to a shine. His hands were clean. But his eyes, God, his eyes were the coldest things I'd ever seen. Colder than the winter river that took my cousin's life 2 years ago. Colder than the dirt on Mom's grave. And they were fixed on me. Not in the way people usually looked at me, with pity, disdain, or mild disgust at the smudge on my cheek. No. He looked at me the way Uncle eyed a chicken before slaughter, like I was something to be appraised, valued. "This is her." His voice was smooth, cultured, and utterly without warmth. "Yes, my lord." Uncle Thomas was practically groveling, his voice laced with a tone I'd never heard from him. Sycophantic, eager, turned 12 today, as agreed. Confirmed Omega at birth. Healthy, obedient, no living family to come looking. My heart slammed against my ribs. No living family. The words echoed in my mind like nails in a coffin. "Stand up, girl." I glanced at Uncle, confusion and fear warring inside me. He jerked his chin impatiently, and I scrambled to my feet, forgetting the mending at my toes. The alpha circled me slowly. I felt his gaze like icy fingers trailing over my skin, and I wanted to scrub myself clean, to hide, to melt into the walls. "Thin," he remarked. "She'll fill out, my lord," Uncle rushed to say. "And she works hard, tireless, never complains. How do I know she won't run?" Uncle laughed. Actually laughed. A sound that cracked something inside me. "Where would she go? She has nothing, no one. She knows her place." The alpha stopped in front of me. Up close, I could see the gray in his dark hair, the hard line of his jaw. "Look at me, child." I forced my eyes up, even though every instinct screamed to look away, to submit, to show the obedience drilled into me since I could remember. His lips twitched upward. "She'll do," he said, as if I were a piece of furniture he was considering for purchase. Then he pulled a leather pouch from his coat. The thud it made on the table was unnaturally loud in the small space. Heavy final Uncle Thomas's eyes widened, and I saw his Adam's apple bob. His hands trembled as he reached for the pouch. When he loosened the strings and peered inside, the transformation on his face, the naked greed, the triumph, told me everything. "Number," I whispered it so softly. I barely heard myself. But somehow, in that awful silence, it seemed to echo. "Number." The Alpha raised an eyebrow. "Uncle Thomas, please." My voice broke, and suddenly I was moving, lunging forward, clutching at his ragged sleeve. "Please, I'll be better. I'll work harder. I won't eat as much. Please don't." He shook me off like a particularly persistent fly. "Enough, Ella. You should be grateful. Do you know what kind of opportunity this is? A place in Lord Reynard's household. You'll have a roof over your head, 3 meals a day. You'll never have to wonder where your next meal is coming from again. But I don't want to go. This is my home. This is my home," he corrected, his voice hardening now, all pretense of familial affection stripped away. "You've been a burden since the day your mother died birthing you. At least now you are finally worth something." The words hit like physical blows. I staggered back, hot tears streaming down my cheeks. "Please." I tried again, my voice shattered. "Please don't send me away. I am sorry I've cost you so much. I am sorry I am an Omega. I am sorry Mom died. Please, I'll be good. I promise I'll be so good. We're wasting time." Lord Reynard's voice cut through my desperate pleas. "Gather her things, whatever she needs." "She has nothing, my lord." Uncle Thomas was already tucking the pouch into his pocket, his movements quick and furtive, as if afraid I'd snatch it back. "Just the clothes on her back. Oh, and this." He crossed to the small chest where I kept my few possessions. Mom's broken, toothed comb, a smooth river stone I'd found, and the locket. Always the locket. "Number," I lunged for it. But Lord Reynard caught my arm, his grip like iron. Uncle Thomas pulled out the locket, the silver oval Mom had worn every day of her life. The only proof she'd existed, that she'd loved me, the only thing I had left of her. "No value," Uncle said, turning it over in his hands. "But she is attached to it, throws fits if anyone tries to take it. Best to let her have a memento. Give it to the girl." Lord Reynard's tone suggested this was the first and last kindness I'd get from him. Uncle tossed it to me, and I caught it with my free hand, clutching it to my chest, like it was the only thing anchoring me to the world. In a way, I suppose it was. Time to go. Lord Reynard started dragging me toward the door. That is when it hit me, really hit me. What was happening? This wasn't temporary. This wasn't a punishment that would end when I learned my lesson. This was permanent. This was goodbye. Uncle Thomas. I dug in my heels, my free hand reaching for the doorframe. My fingers curled around the rough wood, splinters biting into my skin. "Uncle Thomas, please. I am sorry. Whatever I did, I am sorry. Please don't make me go." For 1 second, one heartbreaking second, something flickered in his eyes, guilt, maybe regret, the ghost of the man who'd once been my mother's brother, who'd held me as a baby and taught me to skip stones on the river. Then it was gone. "Be good, Ella," he said, and turned away. That is when Lord Reynard pried my fingers from the doorframe, one by one, cold and methodical. His hand closed around my arm, not guiding, not supporting, but possessing, claiming ownership of his new acquisition. As he dragged me into the pouring rain, I didn't cry. I'd moved beyond tears. I just watched the only home I'd ever known grow smaller in the downpour, until it vanished into the gray. I was 12, and I had been sold. The journey to Blackwater Manor took 2 days. 2 days in which I learned that the childhood I'd known was over. 2 days in which Lord Reynard spoke to me only to tell me to hurry or be quiet. 2 days in which I clutched Mom's locket so tightly it left imprints in my palm. A small silver miracle I prayed would somehow save me. It didn't. Blackwater. Manna rose from the mist, like something out of the dark fairy tales the village elders told to scare children into behaving. All gray stone and iron gates. Towers vanishing into low, hanging clouds. Windows staring down like empty eyes. It was beautiful in the way dangerous. Things are beautiful, like a blade before it cuts you. A stern-faced woman met us at the servants' entrance. Her hair was pulled back so tightly. I wondered if her face hurt. Her lips pursed into a thin line of perpetual disapproval. "This is the new girl." She looked me up and down, disdain plain. "She is filthy. She is 12, Lord Reynard said coolly. "Put her to work in the kitchens, make sure she knows the rules." Then he was gone, vanishing through another door into the grand house. A door for people, I dimly realized, not for property. The woman, Mrs. Vell. I'd learn later, grabbed my shoulder hard enough to bruise. "Listen closely, Omega, because I'll only say this once. You rise before dawn. You work until dismissed. You speak only when spoken to. You don't look the family in the eye. You don't enter the main house unless ordered. You don't steal. You don't slack. You don't cause trouble. Understand?" I nodded, mute. "Understand." She shook me with each word. "Yes, ma'am," I managed to whisper. "That is better. You'll sleep in the servants' quarters with the other low Omegas. Your designation makes you the lowest of the low here. Girl, the only thing keeping you off the streets is your willingness to work. Remember that." She hauled me through a maze of corridors. All rough stone, no adornments. Freezing cold, until we reached a long, narrow room lined with bunks. It smelled of unwashed bodies and despair. "That is yours." She pointed to a bed in the corner, thin mattress stained and lumpy. "Dinner in an hour, don't be late." Then she was gone, and I was alone. I sank onto the bed slowly, my whole body shaking. The locket was still in my hand. I held it to my face, pressing it against my cheek like I used to bury my face in Mom's neck when I was small enough for her to hold me. "I miss you," I whispered to the empty room. "Mom, I miss you so much. Please come back, please tell me what to do." But Mom was dead, buried, and I was here, with no one coming to save me. So I did what I'd done 1,000 times, opened the locket and looked at the 2 tiny portraits inside. One side was Mom, beautiful and smiling, her eyes green like mine. The other was a symbol, an intricate crest I'd traced with my fingers so many times I could draw it in my sleep. Mom had never told me what it meant, just that it was important, that it meant we came from somewhere special. Looking at it now in this cold place that was supposed to be my future, it just seemed like a pretty design. Nothing more. I snapped the locket shut and tucked it into my shirt, against my heart, where no one could see it. That night, I learned what my new life would be. The other servants, mostly girls, a few boys, all Omegas or low Betas, looked at me with a mix of pity and resentment. Another mouth to feed, another body competing for the warmest spot by the fire, the biggest scrap of bread. They didn't speak to me, and I didn't try to speak to them. I lay on my bunk, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the manor around me, and made myself a promise. I would survive. I would endure. Someday, somehow, I would be free. I didn't know then how long someday would take. That freedom wasn't waited for, but seized with shaking hands. I didn't know a lot of things then, but I would learn. Me first year at Blackwater Manor taught me that cruelty comes in 1,000 forms, and not all leave visible scars. I learned that invisibility is a survival skill. The less you are noticed, the less you get hurt. I became a shadow, slipping through kitchens and corridors like a ghost, head down, mouth shut. After the first month, they stopped using my name. I became Girl, or Omega, or You There. Slowly, horribly, I started forgetting what it felt like to be Ella, to be a person instead of a function. I scrubbed floors until my hands bled. I hauled water until my back screamed. I served meals I wasn't allowed to eat. cleaned rooms I'd never be permitted to inhabit as anything but a servant. But strange things kept happening. Aunts. I found a kitchen cat behind the flour barrels, mewling in pain with a broken leg. Without thinking, I scooped it up, cradling it to my chest. The cat should have scratched me. It was half feral, vicious when cornered. Instead, it stilled, its yellow eyes locking onto mine, and I felt something pass between us. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. When I set it down 10 minutes later, it was purring, and when it walked away, it no longer limped. I told myself I'd imagined it, that the leg hadn't been broken at all, that I'd just calmed a frightened animal. But deep down, in a place I didn't dare examine, I knew better. There were other incidents. A maid with a bruised face from some lord's backhand. We brushed shoulders in the hall, and she gasped, not in pain but surprise. The next day, her bruise had faded to yellow, healing at twice the normal speed. A child in the village with a fever encountered when I was sent for eggs. I touched his forehead to check the temperature and felt that strange warmth flow from my palm. His mother said the fever broke within the hour. Each time, I pushed the memory away, refused to think about what it might mean, because acknowledging it felt dangerous, felt like hoping for something I couldn't afford. So I kept my head down, kept scrubbing, kept surviving, trying not to notice that I was becoming something more than invisible. I was becoming unbreakable. The Aldrich family barely acknowledged my existence. Lord Reynard I saw rarely, always from afar, always with that same cold, appraising stare. His wife, Lady Morgana, was worse. She looked through me as if I were made of glass, as if I truly didn't exist. They had 2 sons. The elder, Damon, was being groomed to inherit the manor. He was handsome in a predatory way, all sharp edges and dangerous charm. He liked making the Omega servants cry, liked watching them flinch and cower. I learned quickly to vanish when he was around. The younger son, Kevin, was different. I first saw him in the gardens during my 2nd month at the manor. I'd been sent to gather herbs for the kitchen and gotten lost in the maze of paths, ending up in a section I'd never seen. He was sitting on a stone bench under a willow tree, a book open on his lap. He looked about 13 or 14, dark hair falling into his eyes, a soft face that seemed out of place in this harsh family. I froze, knowing I shouldn't be here, knowing I should back away before he noticed and reported me to Mrs. Vell. But then he looked up, and our eyes met. "Hello," he said. The word hit me like a physical thing. I blinked, stunned. No one in this house said hello to me. No one acknowledged me with anything approaching politeness. I am sorry, my lord," I stammered, dropping into a clumsy curtsy. "I got lost. I'll go." "You are the new girl," he interrupted, closing his book. "The one they put in the kitchens, Ella, right?" Hearing my name, my real name, spoken for the first time in months, made my throat tighten. My vision blurred, and I realized with horror that I was about to cry in front of the master's son. "Yes, my lord." I kept my head down, blinking furiously. "Just Kevin," he said. And when I dared to look up, he was smiling. A sad smile, I noticed, like he'd forgotten how and was trying to remember. "You don't have to call me Lord when no one's around. We're about the same age, aren't we? How old are you?" 12. I caught myself in time. 12, Kevin. "I am 14. See, not so different." But we were different. He was the son of the man who'd bought me. I was property. The distance between us was infinite, uncrossable. Yet there he sat, looking at me like I was a person, like my answers mattered. Something in my chest, crushed and dormant since the day I'd been sold, stirred faintly. "You should go before anyone sees you," I said softly. But my voice lacked the conviction it should have had. "If they think you are talking to me, I'll be punished." Something flashed across his face, anger, maybe, or shame. "That is not right," he said quietly. "You are just a kid. You should be playing, learning, not." He gestured vaguely toward the main house. "Not doing whatever they have you doing." I didn't know what to say to that. The idea that my situation was wrong, that I deserved different, was so foreign I couldn't quite grasp it. I really should go, I repeated. But I didn't move. Couldn't, because for the first time in months, someone was looking at me like I mattered. And I was so starved for that acknowledgement that I'd risk punishment just to feel it a few minutes longer. Kevin seemed to understand. He didn't press me to leave. Instead, he said, "I come here most afternoons to read. It is the only place I can think without being interrupted." He stopped abruptly, as if realizing he'd revealed too much. "If you get lost in the gardens again, you are welcome to sit for a while if you want." My heart pounded. That is dangerous. So dangerous. But at the same time, it felt like a lifeline. "Thank you," I whispered. Then, before I could lose my nerve, I turned and fled through the gardens, my heart racing. Mom's locket thumping against my chest with every step. I told myself I wouldn't see him again, that he'd forget about the strange Omega girl in the garden. But I was wrong. Kevin found me again 2 weeks later. I was in my sanctuary, a small alcove in the library I'd discovered I could slip into during my rare moments of downtime. The library was supposed to be off-limits to servants, but there was a service entrance that seemed forgotten. If I was careful, I could come and go unnoticed. I couldn't read. No one had ever taught me, but I liked being surrounded by books, liked running my fingers over the leather spines, liked the smell of paper and ink. Sometimes I'd open one at random, stare at the letters, and imagine the stories they told, the worlds they painted. "I thought I'd find you here." I jumped. The book in my hands clattering to the floor. Kevin stood in the doorway, that same gentle expression on his face. "I am sorry," I gasped, scrambling to my feet. "I know I shouldn't be here. I was just—" "It is okay," he said, holding up a hand in a placating gesture. "I won't tell anyone. In fact, I've been looking for you. I wanted to apologize." "Apologize?" I stared at him, bewildered. "For what? For what my family did to you? For what my father did, buying you like—" He seemed unable to finish the sentence. "It is not right. You deserve better." Tears burned in my eyes, sudden and hot. I blinked them back furiously. I'd trained myself not to cry, not to show weakness, but his kindness was unraveling something inside me, tearing at the shell I'd built around my heart. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Why are you being nice to me?" He looked genuinely surprised by the question. "Because you are a person, Ella. Because you deserve kindness. Because—" He hesitated. "Because I know what it feels like to be invisible in your own home, to feel like you don't matter." I wanted to argue that his situation was nothing like mine. He was the master's son, after all, with privileges and protections. But something in his eyes made me stop. A loneliness I recognized because I saw it every morning in my own reflection. "My mother died when I was young," he said finally, his voice barely audible. "Not my stepmother, Lady Morgana, but my real mother. She was kind, gentle, everything this house isn't. She used to tell me that a person's measure isn't their rank or station. It is how they treat those with no power." He met my gaze steadily, and I saw the vulnerability there. I think she'd want me to be kind to you, to see you." The way he said, "see you," like it was a gift he was offering, cracked something open in my chest. "I see you too," I said softly, surprising myself. "That day in the garden, you looked sad, like you wear a mask for everyone else. But when you are alone, you can finally take it off." His eyes widened. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, "No one's ever said that to me before. Maybe no one's looking." Something in his expression shifted. A wall came down. A decision was made. "Can you read?" he asked abruptly. I shook my head, embarrassed. "Do you want to learn?" I stared at him, my heart suddenly racing. Yes, but I can't. I have work, and if anyone finds out, no one will find out," he said firmly. "I'll teach you here during your breaks. We'll be careful." "Why would you do this for me?" "Because everyone should be able to read," he said simply. "And because—" He paused, a flush creeping up his cheeks. "Because I've been lonely in this house for too long. and I've forgotten what it is like to have a friend. If you'll have me, Ella, be my friend. Friend. The word felt foreign and precious, something I'd stopped believing I could have. Okay, I breathed. Okay, I'll be your friend. His smile transformed his whole face, making him look younger, less burdened. All right then, he said, picking up the fallen book. Let's start with the alphabet. And so it began. Over the next 3 years, Kevin became my salvation. We met in secret, in the library and hidden corners of the garden, anywhere we could steal a few minutes away from prying eyes. He taught me to read, starting with simple words, building to full sentences, paragraphs, stories. The first time I read an entire page on my own, I cried. Kevin pretended not to notice, but he smiled. The warmest, proudest smile I'd ever seen. You are smart, he told me that day, after I'd finished the page. Ella, you are really smart. Has anyone ever told you that? I shook my head, unable to speak around the lump in my throat. Well, you are. You learn faster than anyone I know. The questions you ask make me think differently about things I thought I understood. He reached out, hesitated, then gently tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was so tender, so carefully respectful, it took my breath away. You are extraordinary. No one had ever called me extraordinary. No one had ever called me anything but a burden. Useless, in the way. No one had ever touched me with gentleness. I found myself leaning into his hand before I could stop myself, craving kindness like I'd once craved food. He didn't pull away. His thumb brushed my cheek, so lightly I almost didn't feel it. His eyes locked on mine. You matter, Ella, he whispered. I need you to know that you matter so much. I wanted to tell him he mattered too, that these stolen moments in the library had become the only thing keeping me going, that during long hours of scrubbing and hauling, I'd think of him, replay our conversations, hoard every smile like a dragon with gold. But I was 13, broken, and he was 16, noble-born, and the words stuck in my throat. So I just nodded, hoping he understood. He taught me other things too, history, math, the names of the stars. He told me stories of ancient royal families, of lunar queens who once ruled with wisdom and compassion, of a time when Omegas were revered for their empathy and healing gifts instead of scorned as weak. What happened to them? I asked during one lesson. I was 13 now. No longer the terrified child who'd arrived at the manor, but still slight, still learning to believe I could be more than invisible. The lunar queens. His face darkened. The last one was murdered 20 years ago. There was a coup. Several powerful alpha families rose up, claiming Omega rule had made the kingdom soft, vulnerable. They killed Queen Seraphine, hunted down anyone loyal to her. She had a daughter, they say, but no one knows what happened to her. If she is alive, she'd be about your age now. That is so sad, I said softly, tracing the portrait of Queen Seraphine in the history book. She was beautiful, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Something about her made my chest ache in a way I couldn't explain. It is, Kevin agreed. The kingdom never recovered. Without a lunar queen, without the balance of alpha strength and omega wisdom, we've become harsh, cruel. Places like this. He waved around the library. But I knew he meant the manor, the whole system that allowed me to be bought and sold. Places like this wouldn't exist if a lunar queen still ruled. I thought about that often, lying awake in the pre-dawn dark, trying to ignore the cold. I imagined a world where omegas were valued, where children couldn't be sold, where someone like me could be more than a shadow. It seemed like a fairy tale, too good to be true. But Kevin made me believe that maybe, someday, things could change. He made me believe something else too. Something I'd thought died the day my uncle sold me. He made me believe I mattered. One afternoon when I was 13, the thing that changed everything happened. We were in the garden, under the willow tree that had become our spot. Kevin had brought a book on healing herbs, and we were studying it together when a bird fell from the branch above us. It hit the ground with a sickening thud. its wing bent at an impossible angle. It let out a high, keening cry that pierced my heart. "Oh no," Kevin said softly, kneeling beside it. "Its wing's broken. It won't survive like this. We should probably put it out of its misery." Number, the word came out fierce. Certain. I knelt beside him, reaching for the bird. "Ella, don't, it might." But the bird didn't peck me, didn't try to flee. The moment my fingers touched its feathers, it stilled, and I felt it. Not just the bird's pain, though I felt that too. A sharp, bright agony that made me gasp. But something deeper. The bird's life force, its desperate, flickering will to survive. I closed my eyes and let the warmth I'd been suppressing for years finally flow free. It poured out of me like light, like water. Like something essential that had been damned too long. I felt the bird's bones knit, its muscles mend, its fear dissolve into calm trust. When I opened my eyes, the bird was standing in my palm, wing whole. It chirped once, pure joy, then flew away, vanishing into the canopy. I looked at Kevin. His face was ashen. "What?" His voice cracked. "Ella, what did you just do?" "I don't know," I whispered, staring at my hands. They were glowing faintly, or maybe that was my imagination. It has been happening for a while. Little things. A cat with a broken leg. Bruises that heal too fast. I thought I was imagining it, but you have the lunar gift. Kevin's voice was full of awe and fear. "Ella, only those with royal blood can heal like that. Only the lunar line. That is impossible. I am nothing. I am just... You are not nothing." He grabbed my shoulders, eyes intense. "Listen to me. That locket you always wear, the crest on it. I need to research it, because if you have healing powers, if you can do what you just did, Ella, you might be someone very important, or knowing you might be very dangerous." "I know," I said calmly. He didn't argue. We both knew it was true. I clutched the locket. I always kept it hidden under my clothes, and felt something long, dormant stir in my chest. Hope, maybe, or just the memory of being loved. Kevin noticed the gesture. "You touch that a lot," he said gently. "The locket, it was your mother's?" "Yes," I said softly. "It is all I have left of her. Can I see it?" I hesitated, then slowly pulled it from under my shirt. Kevin had been kind to me all these years, risking punishment to teach me, to see me. If I couldn't trust him, I couldn't trust anyone. I opened it carefully, showing him the two portraits inside. His eyes widened. "Your mother was beautiful," he said softly. "And the crest." He leaned closer, studying the intricate symbol on the opposite side. "I've seen this before, in history books, but I can't remember where." My heart skipped. "Really? Let me check. It might tell us something about your family, about where you come from." Before I could respond, we heard footsteps in the hall. We both froze. "You have to go," Kevin whispered urgently, snapping the locket shut and pressing it back into my hand. "If they find us together, I know." I was already moving toward the service entrance. "Tomorrow?" "Tomorrow," he promised. But tomorrow never came. Not the way we'd planned. It was Damon who found us. I was 13 now, no longer the scrawny child who'd arrived at Blackwater. But still small, still easily overlooked. Still an Omega servant with no rights, no voice, no protection. Damon was 18, about to be formally named heir. He'd grown more vicious over the years, his cruelty to the servants legendary. I'd managed to avoid him most of the time, but I could always feel his eyes lingering on me sometimes, assessing. It made my skin crawl. That day, Kevin and I were in the library. We'd grown careless over the years, too comfortable in our secret friendship. We were laughing, actually laughing, at something in the book we were reading when the door slammed open. Damon stood there, his face twisted with rage. "So, this is where you've been disappearing to, brother," he snarled. "Consorting with Omega trash." I scrambled to my feet, fear flooding my veins. Kevin stood too, shifting slightly in front of me, a protective stance that Damon didn't miss. It is not what you think, Kevin said, his voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. We're just what? Reading? Damon laughed, cruel and mocking. But underneath was something else, something that looked almost like hurt. Teaching the little slave to read. How touching, how noble. While the rest of us prepare for the responsibilities of running this manor, you are tutoring properties. She is not property, Kevin said quietly, dangerously. She is a person. If you can't see that, then you are what is wrong with this family. Damon's face flushed. What did you say to me? You heard me. Father raised us to be strong, but he forgot to teach us kindness. Mother, our real mother, she understood the difference. But you were too young when she died. You don't remember what she tried to teach us. For a split second, something flickered on Damon's face. Pain, maybe. The ghost of a memory. But it was quickly buried under fury. You dare mention her, Damon hissed. While you were her favorite, I was the one being trained to lead. She loved you more than... He cut off abruptly, jaw clenching. There it was, jealousy. The wound of a child who felt second best, festering over years until it turned to cruelty. But understanding his pain didn't make him any less dangerous. His eyes fixed on me, raking over my face with an intensity that made me want to disappear into the floor. Then his gaze dropped to my chest, where Mom's locket had slipped out from under my shirt in my panic. What is that? He demanded. Nothing, I said quickly, trying to tuck it back. Just. He crossed the room in 3 strides. His hand shot out, grabbing the locket and yanking hard. The chain bit into my neck before snapping. No, I lunged for it. But Kevin caught me, holding me back. Give it back, Damon, Kevin said, his voice hardening now. It is hers. It was her mother's. Give it back. Her mother's? Damon examined the locket, turning it over in his hands. What would an Omega slave's mother be doing with fine silver like this? Did she steal it? My mother didn't steal anything. The words burst out before I could stop them. It was hers. It is all I have left of her. Please, please give it back. Damon's eyes gleamed with malice. He held the locket up, dangling it just out of reach. You want it. Beg for it, Omega, on your knees. Damon, stop, Kevin said dangerously. Or what, little brother? You'll tell Father. Go ahead. Tell him how you've been wasting your time with this worthless. He stopped abruptly, his eyes on the now open locket in his hand, the color drained from his face. What? He held it closer, his hands suddenly shaking. This crest, this is... He looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in Damon Aldrich's eyes. Real bone, deep fear. Where did you get this? His voice was almost a whisper. I told you, I said, confused by his reaction. It was my mother's. What was your mother's name? I don't know her real name. Uncle Thomas never talked about her. I just called her Mom. Your uncle, where does he live? Millbrook, in the Southern Territories. Why? What does it matter? Damon's face went from pale to red, his hand clenched around the locket, and for one terrible moment, I thought he might crush it. This should have been destroyed. He said so quietly, I almost didn't hear. The day Father bought you, it should have been destroyed. Damon, what are you talking about? Kevin demanded. What is wrong? It is just a locket. It is not just a locket. Damon's voice cracked. And now I could see it. The fear beneath the anger. The panic of someone whose world had been upended. This is... God, we have to tell Father. We have to. He turned and bolted from the room, still clutching my locket. I started after him, but Kevin grabbed my arm. Wait, something's very wrong. He has my locket. It is the only thing I have of her. I know. But Ella, the way he reacted. Kevin's face was pale. That crest, I told you I've seen it before, I think. I think it might be from an old royal family. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. That doesn't make sense. My mother was... She was just my mother. She wasn't anyone important. Then why did Damon look so scared? We found out an hour later. They came for me at dawn. Not Mrs. Vell with her sharp tongue and sharper slaps. Not one of the other servants, guards. Real guards, with the Aldrich crest on their chests and swords at their sides. They dragged me from my bed, ignoring my terrified questions, ignoring my struggles and pleas. They hauled me through the manor like a criminal, down, 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 down into the depths of the house I'd never been allowed to enter. Into the dungeons. The cell they threw me into was small and dark, smelling of death. The door slammed shut, and I was alone in the blackness, heart racing, mind reeling. What had I done? What had I done? I curled into the corner, shaking, trying to make sense of it. The locket. It had to do with the locket. But what? What could a simple piece of jewelry mean that would lead to this? Time passed. Hours, maybe, or minutes. Time lost all meaning in the dark. Then I heard footsteps. Ella, Kevin? I scrambled to the door, pressing my face to the bars. Kevin, what is happening? Why am I here? His face emerged from the shadows, and in the torchlight, I could see tear tracks on his cheeks. Oh, Ella, he said softly. I am sorry, so sorry. Why? I don't understand. Your mother, his voice cracked. Ella, your mother wasn't just some peasant woman from Millbrook. The crest on your locket. I found it in the history books. I showed it to old healer Brennan, the one who has been here since before I was born. What did he say? Kevin's hands gripped the bars, knuckles white. That crest was Queen Seraphine's personal seal. The last lunar queen, murdered 20 years ago. The world tilted. No, I whispered. No, that is impossible. My mother she was just my mother. She lived in a little house with my uncle. She wasn't a queen. She wasn't. She was her daughter, Kevin said, his voice full of sorrow and awe and fear. Ella, your mother was the lost princess, the one everyone thought died in the coup. She survived. She went into hiding, changed her name, lived as a common Omega, and then she had you. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. But that means you are the heir, Kevin finished. You are the rightful queen. The lunar bloodline didn't die out. It has been here, in this house, scrubbing floors and hauling water, treated like property for the last 4 years. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The cell spun, and I pressed my back against the cold stone wall to keep from falling. No, I said again, stronger this time. No, that is insane. If my mother was a princess, why would she live like we did? Why would my uncle sell me? Why? Because he didn't know, Kevin interrupted. Or maybe he did and thought he could profit from it, selling you somewhere no one would find you. But my father knew. God, Ella. My father knew exactly what he was buying when he took you. That is why he was so specific about your age, your designation, your location. He wasn't looking for a servant. He was looking for the lost heir. The pieces were falling into place now, each one more horrifying than the last. He was hiding me, I whispered. All this time, he wasn't just using me. He was making sure I'd never claim what is mine. Making sure I stayed invisible, powerless. Yes. Kevin's voice was thick with pain. The Aldrich family was one of the ones that supported the coup. If word got out that the true heir was alive, if you claimed your throne, we'd lose everything. Our lands, our titles, our wealth, all of it built on your family's blood. I pressed my hands to my face, trying to process. My mother, my beautiful, gentle mother, who'd sung to me, held me, loved me. She'd been a princess, hunted, who'd given up everything to protect me, and I'd never known. Why didn't she tell me? My voice broke on the words. Why didn't she prepare me? Why didn't she? She was protecting you, Kevin said gently. As long as you didn't know, you couldn't accidentally reveal yourself. You were just a common Omega child, unremarkable, safe. Safe, I almost laughed. There had been nothing safe about my life. Sold at 12, worked to breaking, treated as less than human. Nothing safe. but alive. I was alive. And if my mother's enemies knew who I really was, what happens to me? I asked. Though I already knew, Kevin's silence was answer enough. They're going to kill you, he said finally, his voice hoarse with tears. Tomorrow night. My father wants it done quietly, no questions. They'll say you tried to escape, fell from a tower, tragic accident. No one investigates the death of an Omega servant. He reached through the bars, finding my hand in the dark. His fingers were warm, trembling. I can't lose you, he whispered, something raw in his voice, something he'd never dared say. Ella, you are the only good thing in this damned place, the only one who has ever seen me as more than the disappointing second son. His voice broke. I love you. I've loved you since you were 12 and brave enough to tell me I looked sad. I love you, and I can't watch them kill you. The words hung between us, precious and impossible. Kevin, my own voice trembled. I love you too, but you are the master's son, and I am. You are the queen, he said fiercely. The rightful queen, and they stole your throne. They tried to break you, but you are still here. You are still standing. I swear to you, on my mother's memory, on everything I am, I'll get you out of here. I'll help you take back what is yours. That is treason, I said softly. Then I choose treason. His hand tightened on mine. I choose you. I should have been terrified. Should have begged him to help me, to save me. Instead, I felt something entirely different, rage. Pure, white, hot, righteous rage. These people, these cruel, greedy men, had murdered my grandmother, hunted my mother until she had no choice but to hide, to live in poverty, to die young and afraid. They'd bought me, broken me, tried to erase me from existence. And now they thought they could just kill me and move on. Number, the word came out, steady, certain. No, I won't let them. Ella, there is nothing you can do. You are locked in a cell, guards everywhere. Even if you escape, where would you go? Everyone who supported the Lunar Queens is dead or in hiding. Then I'll find them. I pressed closer to the bars, close enough to see Kevin's face clearly in the torchlight. The ones in hiding. They're out there, aren't they? Waiting for a sign that the bloodline survived. It has been 20 years. Most think the old ways are dead. Even if you find them, even if you convince them who you are, my father has armies, allies, wealth beyond measure. You are a girl, untrained, powerless. I am not powerless. I touched my chest, where the locket should have been, where I could still feel its phantom weight. I have the lunar gift. I can heal. I can soothe. I carry Queen Seraphine's blood. That has to mean something. It means they'll hunt you, Kevin said desperately. It means every moment you are alive. You'll be in danger, Ella, please. Let me try to get you out tonight. We can get you far from here. You can change your name, disappear, live quietly, somewhere they'll never find you, like my mother did. I shook my head. She ran her whole life, Kevin. She died young and afraid, never seeing the world she was meant to inherit. I won't do that. I won't hide. Then you'll die, maybe. I pressed my hand over his through the bars, feeling his warmth, his strength. But at least I'll die as myself. As Ella, daughter. I paused, realizing I didn't even know my mother's real name. Lena, Kevin supplied softly. Princess Lena. She was known for her healing gifts, her compassion. They said she could calm the fiercest alpha with a touch, that she could sense pain and fear and bring peace. The common people loved her. Lena. My mother's name was Lena. Then I'll die as Ella, daughter of Lena, granddaughter of Seraphine. And maybe that is enough to wake something in this kingdom, to remind people we used to be better, that we can be again. Kevin was crying now, openly, not trying to hide it. I don't want you to die, he whispered. Then help me escape, I said simply. Please, Kevin, I know what I am asking. I know it means betraying your family, giving up everything. But please, if you love me, I do, he interrupted fiercely. I love you more than safety, more than comfort, more than who I was supposed to be. He wiped his eyes, squared his shoulders. Of course I'll help you. I'll get you out of here tonight. And then we run together, I agreed. Something dangerously close to hope rising in my chest. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead to the bars, and I did the same for a moment. We just breathed together, sharing that tiny connection across iron and stone. You are going to be a great queen, he said finally, terrifying and great. I have to be a living queen first, I pointed out. Everything else after. Right. Okay. He straightened, his expression hardening into resolve. The guards change at midnight. I can get the keys. There is a passage from the dungeons to the old chapel, unused for years, but it should still be passable. From there, we can get to the stables, take horses, be miles away before anyone notices you are gone. What about you? When they find me missing, they'll know you helped. But I'll be gone too. We'll disappear together, Ella partners in treason. Despite everything, I smiled. Partners in treason, I like the sound of that. The escape was supposed to be quiet, clean, simple. It was none of those things. Kevin got me out of the cell without trouble. The guards were drowsy, complacent, not expecting any real threat from a locked-up Omega child. We slipped through the passage, our footsteps echoing in the narrow stone corridor, Kevin's torch casting wild shadows on the walls. We were nearly to the chapel when shouts erupted behind us. The prisoners escaped. Sound the alarm. Run. Kevin grabbed my hand, and we ran. The chapel was in ruins, half collapsed, open to the night sky. We could see the stars, thousands of them, cold and distant and beautiful. We didn't stop to admire them. The stables were across an open courtyard. 50 yards, might as well have been 50 miles. Get to the horses. Take the gray mare, Kevin said, panting. She is the fastest. Don't wait for me. Ride straight north to the Silverwood. There might be people there who can help. I am not leaving you. You have to. If they catch you, you die. If they catch me, I am the master's son. They won't kill me. They'll just lock me up for a while, Ella. You have to survive. You are the one who matters. You are what this is all for. We burst into the stables, the horses whinnied, startled by our sudden entry and the commotion behind us. Kevin saddled the gray mare with quick, practiced hands. Up, he commanded, and I scrambled onto her back. Remember north, don't stop. Don't trust anyone until you are sure, Ella. He looked up at me, and in the light, he seemed older than his 17 years. Beautiful and brave and broken. What I said in the dungeon, I meant it. I love you. I'll find you again, I swear. Even if it takes years, even if I have to cross the whole kingdom, I'll find you. Kevin, my voice broke. I leaned down, and he reached up, and in one perfect, stolen moment, our lips met. It wasn't a glamorous kiss, not skilled or smooth. We were both shaking, both afraid, both tasting salt from tears we didn't have time to shed. But it was real. It was ours. It was goodbye and promise and love, all wrapped in one desperate touch. When we broke apart, his hand lingered on my cheek. Go, he whispered, change the world. Kevin. Go. He slapped the mare's flank, and she bolted. I looked back once, just once, and saw him standing in the stable doorway, torch in hand, placing himself between me and the guards pouring into the courtyard, buying me time, saving me, loving me enough to let me go. Then the horse carried me into the darkness, Blackwater Manor vanishing behind me, and I was alone with the stars and my grief and my rage. I rode until the mare foamed and stumbled, rode until my legs ached and my hands blistered from the reins, rode until the sky began to lighten in the east. And I knew I had to find shelter or risk being spotted. I found a cave, more of a rocky overhang, really, and led the mare inside. She trembled with exhaustion, and I wasn't far behind. I collapsed against the stone wall, my whole body shaking. I was free. I was alone. I was terrified. And I was angry, so angry. I thought of my mother, of how she must have felt running like this. Afraid, exhausted, desperate, she'd been pregnant with me. Had she touched her belly, wondering what kind of world she was bringing me into? Had she hoped I'd be strong enough to survive where she couldn't? I touched my own chest where the locket should have been. Damon still had it. My last link to her, my proof of who I was. For a moment, despair threatened to overwhelm me. What was I doing? I was only 13. No money, no allies, no proof of identity. I was exactly what Kevin had said. An untrained Omega girl with nothing but an impossible dream. Then I remembered Lord Reynard's face the day he bought me, the cold calculation, the satisfaction of burying a threat. I remembered Damon's fear when he recognized the crest. I remembered 4 years of being invisible, beaten down, told I was worth nothing. I felt something stir inside me. Something that had always been there, perhaps. Waiting, compressed by years of cruelty until it became dense and hard and powerful. It started in my chest, a warmth spreading outward. Through my arms, my legs, my fingertips. The aches from the ride began to fade. The cuts on my hands from the reins began to close. I gasped, holding my hands up in the growing light. Staring. The wounds were healing. Not slowly. Not the way wounds normally do, but quickly, visibly skin knitting before my eyes. "What?" I whispered. The warmth intensified, and suddenly I felt everything. The mare's exhaustion and fear. The small creatures hidden in the rocks around us, watching warily. The trees outside the cave, their roots deep in the earth, their branches reaching for the sun. I felt connected to it all, like the world was alive and breathing, and I was part of its breath. This was the lunar gift, the power that had made my grandmother a queen, my mother beloved. It hadn't fully manifested before because I'd been suppressed, broken, taught to be small and powerless. But now that I knew who I was, now that I'd claimed my identity, now that I'd chosen to fight instead of hide, it was awakening, and it was glorious. I stood slowly, testing this new awareness carefully. I could feel the mare's hurts, a strain in her left foreleg, exhaustion in every muscle without thinking. I placed my hand on her neck. The warmth flowed from me to her, her breathing steadied. The tension left her body, she turned her head to look at me, and I swear there was recognition in her eyes, understanding. "We're going to be okay," I told myself. "We're going to survive." And then I looked north, toward the Silverwood, toward the people Kevin said might help. "And then we're going to take back what is mine." The mare whinnied softly, as if she understood, as if she agreed. I laughed, a real laugh. For the first time since the day my uncle sold me. Let them try to stop me now. The journey north took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of traveling by night, hiding by day. 3 weeks of pushing my newly awakened powers to their limits. Healing the mare's fatigue every morning so we could ride again each night. 3 weeks of learning what my body could do when survival depended on it. But it wasn't just survival driving me, it was purpose. In the villages I passed, children with hollow bellies stared at me with empty eyes. I saw Omegas beaten in the streets, their cries ignored by passers-by who'd learned compassion was weakness. I saw fear and cruelty and despair everywhere. This was what my grandmother's kingdom had become. This was what 20 years of Alpha rule without Omega wisdom had wrought. In one village, I couldn't help myself. A woman was being whipped in the town square. Some minor infraction, some cruel excuse. The crowd watched with dead eyes, too afraid or too broken to intervene. I dismounted, walked forward. "Stop," I said calmly. The man with the whip turned, sneering. "Who are you?" I touched his wrist. Let my power flow, not to harm. Never to harm, but to show, to make him feel what she felt. The pain, the fear, the humiliation of being reduced to nothing in front of neighbors who once knew your name. He dropped the whip, his face paling. "She was just trying to feed her children," I said softly. "Was that worth it?" I helped the woman up, healing the worst of the wounds on her back. She stared at me with a mix of wonder and fear. "Who are you?" she whispered. "No one yet," I told her. "But someday I'll make sure this never happens again." Word of the incident spread. By the time I reached the Silverwood, I was no longer just a runaway servant. I was a story, a rumor, a hope that maybe, just maybe, things could change. The forest was ancient and dark, the canopy so thick that noon I dismounted, leading the mare forward. Following an instinct I didn't quite understand, there was something here. Someone, I could feel them watching. "I know you are there," I called out, my voice steady despite my pounding heart. "I am not here to hurt anyone. I am looking for those who remember, who still believe in the old ways." Then, slowly, figures emerged from the shadows. 10, maybe 12. Mostly betas and omegas, dressed in worn leathers and rough cloth, weapons at their sides. They looked hard, weathered, like people who'd been losing for too long. An older woman stepped forward, gray streaked her dark hair, and her face bore crisscrossing scars. One across her left eye, another along her jaw. A warrior's face, a survivor's face. "Who are you?" she demanded, hand on her sword hilt. This was it, the moment of truth. I took a deep breath, touching my chest where the locket should have been. "My name is Ella," I said clearly, letting my voice carry. "I am the daughter of Princess Lena, granddaughter of Queen Seraphine. I've come to take back my throne." The woman's eyes widened. For a long moment, no one moved, no one breathed. Then she dropped to one knee. One by one, the others followed, heads bowed, fists pressed to hearts in the ancient salute. "We've been waiting for you," the woman said, her voice rough with emotion. "For 20 years we've been waiting. Welcome home, Your Majesty." I stood there, surrounded by strangers kneeling before me, calling me Majesty, looking at me like I was their salvation. I felt the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders, the expectations, the sheer impossibility of what I was about to attempt. But I felt something else too, belonging. "Rise, please," I said gently. "I am not your queen yet. Right now, I am just a girl who needs your help, but together," I looked at each of them in turn, "together, maybe we can be more. Maybe we can change this kingdom. Not with violence, not with more blood, but with truth, with justice. With the reminder that we used to be better, that we can be again." The scarred woman stood, a fierce smile on her face. "Then let's get started, little queen. I am Commander Lissa, and I served your grandmother before the coup. Let's show them what they tried to bury." They led me to their camp, a hidden settlement deep in the forest. Dozens of rough shelters built into trees and hillsides. More people than I'd expected. 50, maybe 60. All refugees from the old regime, all waiting. That night, they gathered around the fire to hear my story. I told them everything, sold at 12. 4 years of servitude, Kevin's kindness, discovering who I really was, my escape. When I finished, there was silence. Then an old man with a long white beard stood. "I was your grandmother's healer," he said, his voice cracking. "I delivered your mother. I was there." His face crumpled. "I was there the night of the coup. I tried to save her, your grandmother. But there were too many. She made me run, made me live to tell the tale, to wait for her bloodline to return." He knelt before me, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. "I never thought I'd live to see this day. But here you are real, Princess Lena's daughter, the lunar heir. Show us," someone called from the crowd. "Show us you have the gift." I looked at Commander Lissa. She nodded encouragingly. I stood and went to the old healer. "What is your name?" I asked gently. "Brennan, Your Majesty, just Ella," I corrected. "You are in pain, Brennan. Your joints, your back, years of running, sleeping on hard ground, grief buried deep in your bones." His eyes widened. "How did you?" I placed my hand on his shoulder and let the warmth flow. "Not all of it. I was still learning control, but enough. Enough to ease his worst aches. Enough to make him stand straighter, breathe deeper. Remember what it felt like not to hurt. When I stepped back, he was crying again, but with wonder this time. "She has it," he said softly. "The lunar gift, just like Queen Seraphine, like Princess Lena." He turned to the crowd. "This is our queen." The camp erupted in cheers. And so my real education began. Commander Lissa was a strict teacher, but fair. She'd been one of my grandmother's personal guards, trained in combat and strategy. She taught me that healing wasn't the only power a lunar omega could wield. Your grandmother could walk into a room full of hostile alphas and have them eating out of her hand in minutes. Lissa told me during one early lesson. It wasn't manipulation, it was understanding. She could feel what they felt. Their fears, their angers, their pains, and address it. Meet them where they were. That is what made her unstoppable. She taught me to extend my awareness, to sense the emotions of those around me. At first, it was overwhelming, like trying to listen to 100 conversations at once. But gradually, I learned to filter, to focus, to understand the currents of feeling flowing through any group. "That is how you'll lead," Lissa said, "not with force, but with empathy, with the ability to bring people together instead of tearing them apart." Brennan taught me the history they'd preserved, the names of those loyal to my grandmother, the locations of hidden supporters scattered across the kingdom, the ancient rituals and ceremonies that bound a lunar queen to her people. "You are not just taking back a throne," he explained one night, his gnarled hands tracing maps in the firelight. "You are taking back a way of life, a philosophy, that true power comes from balance, not domination." Others taught me practical skills. How to move quietly through the forest, how to recognize safe houses and loyal supporters, how to speak with authority, how to inspire, how to lead. But the most important lessons came from the people themselves. I began venturing out with small groups to nearby villages, not announcing who I was. That would be too dangerous. But simply helping. Healing the sick, soothing frightened children, easing the pain of those broken by the harsh new world. Word spread faster than I'd anticipated. Stories began to circulate, of a young Omega with healing hands, of a girl who spoke with wisdom beyond her years, of someone with the lunar gift. Unseen since Queen Seraphine's death, people began to hope. In one village, an elderly woman grabbed my hand as I was leaving. "Is it you?" she whispered urgently. "Are you the lost princess's daughter, the true heir?" I looked into her eyes, saw the desperation there, a lifetime of suffering, waiting for redemption. "If I were, would it matter?" I asked gently. "It would mean everything," she said fiercely. "It would mean my granddaughter might grow up in a world where being an Omega doesn't mean being worthless. It would mean things can change." I squeezed her hand. "Then keep hoping," I told her. "Keep believing change is possible. When the time comes, be ready." 6 months passed, then a year, then 18 months. I was 15 now, nearly 16. No longer the frightened child who'd fled into the night, but not yet the queen I needed to be. Still learning, still growing, still gathering strength. The movement was growing too. Hundreds now, spread across the kingdom. Not an army. I was firm about that. We wouldn't win with violence. A network, instead. A web of supporters waiting for the moment to reveal itself. Then, on a crisp autumn morning 2 years after my escape, Kevin found me. I was in a clearing near our main camp, practicing my powers, trying to extend my awareness farther, to sense life beyond the immediate area. It was delicate work, requiring total focus, which is probably why I didn't sense him approaching. "You are getting better at that." I whirled, heart in my throat. He stood at the edge of the clearing, looking travel, worn and weary and more beautiful than I remembered. Taller now, he'd grown in the 2 years since I'd seen him, with broader shoulders. His face had lost its boyish softness, sharpened into something more angular, more adult, but his eyes were the same. gentle and sad and warm. "Kevin," I breathed. For a moment, we just stared at each other. 2 years of separation stretched between us like a chasm. So much change, so much that had happened. Then he smiled. That same slightly sad smile I remembered, and the distance collapsed. I was running before I knew I'd decided to. He caught me in his arms, lifting me off the ground, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. I didn't care. I wrapped my arms around his neck, buried my face in his shoulder, let myself feel everything I'd been suppressing for 2 years. Relief, joy, love, overwhelming gratitude that he was here, alive, safe, I thought. My voice broke. "I didn't know if you were okay, if they'd hurt you for helping me. I wanted to find out, but it was too dangerous to go back. Shh," he murmured into my hair. "I am here. I am fine. They locked me up for a few months, but I escaped. I've been looking for you ever since." 18 months? I pulled back to look at his face. "It took you 18 months to find me." "You are good at hiding," he said with a grin. "And I had to be careful. My father has people everywhere, looking for any sign of you. I had to take the long way, follow rumors and whispers." His hands cupped my cheeks. "But I told you I'd find you, even if it took years." I leaned into his touch, closing my eyes. "I missed you," I whispered. "I missed you too." His thumb brushed my cheekbone, every day, every hour. When I opened my eyes, he was looking at me with an intensity that stole my breath. Not the way he'd looked at me before, with the careful protectiveness of an older boy for a younger girl. This was different. This was the way a man looks at an equal, at someone he sees as more than a friend, as, "You've changed," he said softly. "God, Ella, you are extraordinary." "I am still me," I said, suddenly shy. Number his other hand came up, framing my face. "You were always extraordinary, but now you believe it. I can see it in the way you stand, the way you hold yourself. You are not hiding anymore." "I can't afford to hide. Too many people are depending on me." "I know." His eyes searched mine. "Lissa told me everything, about the movement you are building, the people you are helping, the hope you are giving them." A slow smile spread across his face. "You are doing it. You are really doing it, becoming the queen you were meant to be." "I haven't done anything yet," I protested. "I am still just—" "You are not just anything." His voice turned fierce. "Ella, do you know what they call you in the villages? The healing hand, the hidden moon, the queen to come. You've given people something they haven't had in 20 years. You've given them hope." Tears pricked my eyes. "I am scared. What if I am not strong enough? What if I let them down?" "You won't." He said it with such certainty, such absolute faith, that I almost believed him. "You are the strongest person I know. You survived being sold at 12. You survived 4 years at Blackwater. You escaped execution and built a revolution from nothing. If anyone can do this, it is you." "Not from nothing," I corrected. "I had help. I had you." Something in his expression softened. "You'll always have me," he said quietly. "As long as you want me, in whatever way you want me." The air between us crackled suddenly. "Kevin," I whispered, "I know we're still young," he continued, his voice low and intense. "I know you have a kingdom to reclaim, a revolution to lead. I know I am the son of your enemy, and my presence might complicate things. But Ella," his forehead pressed to mine, "I've loved you since you were 12. If you feel even a fraction of what I feel, I do," I interrupted. "God, Kevin, I do. I thought about you every day, wondered if you were safe, wished you were here. I love you. I've loved you so long I can't remember a time when I didn't." "Then let me stay," he whispered. "Let me fight beside you, not as the Master's son, not as anything but me. Just Kevin, who sees you, who loves you, who wants to help you change the world." I pulled back enough to see his face clearly. "It'll be dangerous," I warned. "When we make our move, there is a good chance we'll both die." I'd rather die fighting at your side than live 100 years without you. That is very dramatic, I said, but I was smiling. I had 2 years to rehearse, he admitted. Then he was smiling too. Suddenly, we were both laughing. The tension shattered into something lighter, simpler. When the laughter faded, he was still framing my face, still looking at me like I was the only thing that mattered in the world. So, he asked, "Can I stay?" "Try to leave, and I'll hunt you down myself," I told him. "Is that a royal command?" "It is a promise." Then he kissed me. Not the desperate, frightened kiss of our escape, but something slower, deeper. A kiss that said, "I'm here. I found you. I'm not going anywhere." A kiss that tasted like home, like hope, like the future we were going to build together. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, his eyes were bright with happiness. "Welcome to the revolution, Kevin Aldrich," I said. "Honored to be here, Your Majesty." "Don't call me that." "Sorry, my queen." Kevin, he kissed me again to shut me up, and I decided if it meant this, I could live with the title. End.